It's late, you're in bed, phone in hand, scrolling through something that's making your chest tight, your stomach knot, and your jaw clench. You know you should probably stop, but you just can't seem to, because stopping feels like not caring, and not caring feels unacceptable right now. But you're so exhausted from caring so much for so long about things that feel impossibly big. And somewhere underneath that exhaustion is a layer of guilt for even wanting to look away and rest. There's a term for something that happens to nurses and social workers and first responders, for people who spend their days working with folks who are in some of their most vulnerable moments. And it's called compassion fatigue. And for a long time, it was reserved mostly for clinical conversations about helping professionals. But lately, I've been having a similar conversation with regular folks who are at a new level of exhaustion and depression. These are people who are simply empathetic and caring and paying attention to the atrocities in this world. They're watching genocide unfold on their phones. They're tracking every policy rollback, every human rights erosion, every community that's losing its safety net. They feel like if they were to look away, that would make them complicit and uncaring, because after all, they don't have the resources and accessibility to help. So solidarity and witnessing seems like the next best thing. I want to talk about that today because I think compassion fatigue has outgrown its original definition and is seeping into the lives of everyday people. And I don't think this is happening by accident. And so today I want to talk about what's actually happening in your body when you're carrying this much. I want to talk about why your exhaustion isn't a personal failing and who actually benefits from you feeling this depleted. And I want to leave you with something more useful than guilt. I want to leave you with a real answer for how to keep caring without it costing you everything. Because the goal here isn't for you to care less, it's to learn how to care in a way that doesn't deplete you. You're listening to Creative Self-Care. I am Crystal McLain, somatic practitioner, nervous system educator, and your guide to stress management, resilience building, and radical self-reclamation. If you'd like to support this work and want to go deeper, you can find us at The Uprising over at Patreon. To learn more, visit crystalmclaincreative.com. All right. So you don't have to be in the helping profession to absorb someone else's trauma. You just have to be someone who gives a shit in a world that's constantly creating and broadcasting collective suffering. Let's talk about that for a minute. So half jokingly, I often say, being a human is the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. I mean, cohabitating and communicating with 8 billion humans on a floating rock in space is bound to come with some complications. Not to mention the guaranteed pain that comes from birth and illness and injury, love and loss, and the oftentimes slow process of death. Wah, wah. I know this sounds bleak, but bear with me. So, in the words of Buddha, life is suffering. And honestly, I don't think he was wrong. But life is also beautiful and inspiring and mesmerizing and so fucking rich. The problem isn't that there's suffering in life. In fact, I'd argue that it's our suffering that makes life all the richer. The dark times amplify the bright times. That's just the nature of life, and I think that's beautiful. Grief tells us that we love. Anger highlights our values. Fear tries to protect us. These are gifts to love, to value, to protect. It's when these gifts get exploited by things like white supremacy, capitalism, colonialism, and fascism, and all the other shitty isms, that it gets a lot harder to fully experience these gifts in life. We're living under systems that have been designed to keep us confused, compliant, and consuming. And we've become so attached to our phones that with every update, alert, and social media stream, we're bombarded with an infinite sea of catastrophe. We literally are not biologically designed to withstand this much disruptive information and stimulation. When you are chronically exposed to other people's pain while also living in systems that exhaust you, there's a name for what happens in your body. It's called vicarious trauma. Your nervous system doesn't necessarily distinguish between your pain and someone else's. It doesn't know that you're safe on the couch. It registers threat, grief, moral distress, and it responds accordingly. Stress hormones, hypervigilance, hypoarousal, a kind of exhaustion that comes from not doing too much, but from feeling too much for too long without relief. And here's my theory. That exhaustion isn't by accident. The current administration is banking on it. Flood the nervous system with enough chaos, enough cruelty, enough relentless bad news, and people stop being able to fight back. They get numb, they get detached, they get too fucking tired to organize, to resist, to imagine anything different. Your compassion fatigue is a symptom of this moment, not a flaw in you. You keep scrolling, you keep reading, you keep carrying all of this because putting the phone down feels like a betrayal to the people who don't have that privilege. So witnessing feels like the least you can do. Walking away feels like abandonment. Neither option feels okay, and your nervous system is stuck in that loop. My friend, someone is benefiting from your burnout, and it's not you or the people you care about. So I want to say something to you, and I really want you to hear it. Consuming someone's suffering is not the same as helping them. Exhausting yourself in solidarity with people in crisis does not actually serve them. It just means there's one more person running on empty. This is about capacity. We all have things right in front of us that need our care. Family, pets, community, ourselves. And those things need something left in the tank. Protecting that isn't selfishness, it's stewardship. We've all heard the oxygen mask analogy. Put yours on first, right? Well, we resist this because in a culture that equates suffering with solidarity and self-care as selfish, rest can feel kind of gross. Taking care of yourself while others are in crisis can feel shameful. But a depleted person cannot sustain care. They can only sustain collapse. And here's something else I want you to hear. The fact that you feel this at all, the fact that your body aches over shit that's happening to strangers on the other side of town, the other side of the country or the world, that's a gift. The world needs more people who are wired this way. Your compulsion to care is truly something to honor. So the goal here isn't to care less, it's to care in a way that doesn't deplete you. So what does this look like in practice? Great question. Well, it looks like setting intentional limits around the news and social media, not because you don't care, but because you do, and you're protecting the capacity to keep caring. It looks like finding one tangible way to act, however small, so that care becomes something that you do instead of just something you feel. Because action is going to metabolize stress in a way that witnessing alone can't. It's also going to serve the people you care about more than you just worrying in the background. It looks like tending to your own nervous system with the same seriousness that you would bring to anyone else you love and requires care. You are allowed to put the phone down. You're allowed to laugh and rest and to seek pleasure, to be fully present in your own life without guilt or shame. Again, not because the suffering isn't real, but because you are also real and you also matter. Caring for yourself is how you stay in the fight. Full stop. All right, my friend, if someone in your life is exhausted from caring, please send this their way. And if you want to go further than this post, if you want practices, community, and real nervous system support, the Uprising at Patreon is where that lives. We'd love to see you there. I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm so proud of you for showing up today. I'll see you soon.